everybody, welcome into Pritches Get Stitches. Glad you're here. Glad you found us. Holly, it's quite the hiatus we've been on for the past months.
I was looking to see the last time we recorded, and it didn't seem that long ago, but it was October 4th.
Wow. I feel like we just did it. But I mean,
4 months.
Well, I mean, we put it up on YouTube. I put it onto Spotify, but didn't realize that Spotify had changed everything. And so I put it in, but then it was like it didn't ever exist.
Right. It was a process. Best word. Like me changing passwords, trying to figure out what happened. And I think what happened was in the summer, they changed platforms, I guess, that they're using for their podcasts. And if you didn't change over, I think is what it was, soon enough or whatever, then it like deleted everything out. So like our whole podcast was gone for a while.
Well, I mean, I could log into like the old place we used to go. Like it still let me log in, but I couldn't do anything. So it still showed it still showed them all and everything like that. But I couldn't add anything new or anything. And I don't even know. I haven't even logged in since we've got it fixed up. Shout out to Taylor for fixing that up for us.
Yeah.
But I haven't even logged in. Like
I haven't logged into I haven't logged into our joint one, but I follow it on my personal Spotify account, and that's how I saw that it was back, because before it wasn't even there.
So is the new episode on there?
I don't know. I would assume if you tried to upload it from the old account, it wouldn't be, but let me look because I have it.
Let's see.
So let's see.
Well, I'm gonna go to Amazon. I listen to it on Amazon. That's where I listen.
Okay.
Let's see. Updated October 4th. 10-4. What is there?
Oh, it's there? Okay. Is it on I wonder if it's on the Apple one.
10-4.
Let me see if I have it on. Yeah, we have it. We've got nothing aside from 10-4.
It's called 10-4.
10-4.
That's the name of it. That's what we're going to call it. 10-4. There's no description, nothing. Let me see if it even.
I think this is.
I'm at 1.8 speed.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Pritches Get Stitches.
We're there.
It's there.
Found it?
Okay. I'll have to have Scarin look real quick.
All right. Let's see in real time. And just FYI, apparently probably Jared just got home. And so Lulu's been sleeping under this chair forever in my office. And immediately we start recording and she's gone. Opens my door. Of
course.
Changes my background. But anyways, Holly, while you're doing that, also real quick, busiest I've ever been in my life right now.
Yeah. Apparently you don't even answer my text messages. You say, hey, I'm going to answer these. And then I'm like, oh, did you forget to answer? And you're like, I said one day I'll answer them. And I'm like, I'm still waiting on the answers from months ago.
I don't even know what you're texting me about. It's gone. No, but seriously, lots of stuff has happened at work. We had a lady that works for us, and prayers up for Eleanor. She has some health issues that she's going through. And so she was like, hey, I don't want to not work, but I can't. And so, we're in process of, we hired somebody else down there part-time, and I took a little more of a role up here, doing more than what I had been doing. And then Dad, he's kind of retiring. He's been telling me he's going to retire for 5 years. And so
he's been retiring. That man's going to work until the day he dies.
Well, I mean, we did see a study, and it said that, so Dad, listen up. But, we were watching this thing. It was lady was talking about how physically, when people retire, physically their body goes downhill because they stop doing anything physically. They sit around.
Right.
And so her thing was you've got to work out with weights, you got to get some little weights and work your muscles and things like that. And then it was talking about mentally, how you just you stop using your brain, and that's when people die.
I laughed earlier because you said we just sit around, and I'm like, I'm not even retired, but kind of maybe I need to start. But no, and I know that that's one of Dad's biggest things. He and I had a conversation one time, and he talked about when he was in the Army, and I want to say it was he was nearing retirement, maybe is what it was. And so he had a couple other friends who were also nearing retirement. And one of the guys he knew in the Army, Dad and all of his other buddies were like, oh yeah, we're going to do this. Dad had his business. Everybody was like, oh yeah, we're going to go to this other job, blah, blah, blah. And this one guy was like, nope, Like I've set myself up so that when I retire, I'm done. Like I don't have to work. I can just be retired. And Dad was like, that guy was always in good shape, everything else. And within 2 years, he died, and he died young.
Yeah.
Dad was like, so that's Dad's fear.
Yeah.
And he was like, I could never retire because I don't want to die. And I'm like,
Yeah, he's always told me that. I mean, if you retire, you die. And so, I mean, that happened to his dad, right? His dad retired, went to Costa Rica, died, right?
Yeah.
And so, I can understand that. So we keep him a little busy, but right now he's not doing anything because, well, he shouldn't be doing anything. Pops, I know you're listening,
probably
but
is doing something, knowing Dad.
Shoulder surgery, shoulder replacement surgery, and then a week later,
within a week, he's fallen twice with this shoulder, new shoulder.
And he did something to his shoulder, and he ends up fracturing a bone where the shoulder is, and basically turning the shoulder replacement. Woo! So they had to go in there and they had to redo his surgery again. So Frankie, man, just sit down, just don't die, but just sit down and like don't Pritchard yourself. I mean, this is called Pritchard Get Stitches for a reason, and you've just proven that to us. But
yeah, just sit still, sit there and don't do anything.
It's crazy. So I've been busy. I've been busy with that. I've been busy with just life. I mean, refereeing football. This year, right around this time, they start putting crews together, right? So it's like your varsity crew. So you have like your referee, and he's called the crew chief, and he puts his crew together. Okay. And I was called for a few different crews.
Nice.
A few different people called
position?
me up. Right on the line of scrimmage. One guy texted me not long ago and asked me to be what they call deep flank. And
you don't like that one, right? You like to be like closer to the ball? Yeah,
I like to be on the line of scrimmage, and I spot the ball as the ball goes down the field.
On the sideline, or you're behind? Okay.
No, on the sideline. So last year, in varsity, since I can't remember how much we talked, but on our last podcast, it was forever ago. But I did 5 different positions on the field. So I was an umpire for a game. I was a head linesman for a game, a line judge for a game. I did back judge, and I did side judge. So the only 2 positions I didn't do was the referee, which is the white hat, and
he's the main guy,
field judge. Yeah, the referee's the guy that talks and all that stuff.
And where's the field judge stand again?
So the field judge is opposite of the side judge, which is 25 yards behind the defense on the sideline. So we're watching kind of the back, like where the receivers are going down the field. The defensive backfield is what it's called. So anyways, just got a call the other day from my dude.
Is this the dude who originally got you into it and wanted you to be on his team last year?
So he's been my mentor. And so when I started, I kind of like, he was one of the first guys I met, and I just asked him to kind of help me out. And so we've been working for a long time and together. And as far as for 2 years, as far as, back and forth with, learning things. And anyway, so he didn't actually initially pick me to be on his crew this year. So I was going to go with a different guy, buddy of mine. And, but I told my buddy, I said, hey, if he calls, I got to go. I got to take that call and go to his crew. But he never, didn't call. But then he had a guy back out. And he told me, he said, man, if you had a little more experience, I'd pick you right away. But anyways, the guy he called had to back out because he was moving. He ended up taking a job out of state. And so he called me up. So now I'm on his crew, and he was literally a coin flip away. He was a coin flip away from refereeing the state championship game for 6A this past year. So
like a literal coin flip, or a
literal coin flip. So the teams picked their officiating crew. So one team picked him, and the other team picked their guy. So then they couldn't come to common ground, so they did a coin flip, and the other guy won. So our goal is state championship. If we can referee in a state championship, that'd be pretty fun.
Okay. That would be cool.
6A state championship, 5A state championship in Texas. I don't care. 3A. It doesn't matter. That's still pretty cool. So
when they do like the 6A championship, I remember when, for example, I don't know if I was in high school, but remember when Ellison went to the state championship. Somebody was in high school in our family.
Ellison never went to the state championship, but we got
not state championship, playoffs.
It was the playoffs. We got pretty deep, but we got hammered.
Right. Mm-hmm. I mean, they have been to the state championship. I want to say early 90s, maybe like a long time ago. However, I thought they'd been once and won once.
Killeen.
Never?
Killeen High School did.
Maybe.
Not Ellison.
Got it.
Anyways.
So my question is, remember when we played playoffs, we had to go to some stadium, I think up in like Dallas area. Yep. Are all of the state championship games held in the Dallas area?
Yeah, they're all held at the Cowboys Stadium.
Oh, okay. So it doesn't matter who's in it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
so like
for
teams out of Houston, teams out of Austin.
Got it. They all fly into Dallas. or
but
Austin, whatever.
but the crew can be from anywhere. You can have a crew from, San Antonio that comes up and does the state championship game. But they're all at Cowboy Stadium, and they do like 3 or 4 a day. So because you don't have just 1A, 2, 1A is 6-man. So you don't have just like 6-man, 2A, 3A, 4A, 5A, 6A. Like 6A has 2 state championship games because they have big schools and small schools. So as
a 6A?
Yeah, 6A, 5A.
What do you mean they have
maybe
a big
4A.
school, little school?
So they have basically 2 playoffs. And so you have to kind of like keep it a little even. You have 6A, you're classified into that by the amount of students you have in your school. But 6A is the highest. So you have a team like Allen who may have like 10,000 students or whatever. They have 8,000 students, whatever they have. But then you have a team like, let's say, I'm just going to use Prosper, for example, that may only have, that barely made it into the 6A. Like Prosper didn't, but you know what I'm saying? So to have a little parity, I guess, you have when teams go to the playoffs from their district, let's say 4 teams go to the playoffs, 2 are going to be the big schools and 2 are going to be the small schools. So depending on what teams go, depends on, the teams with the highest, the 2 teams with the highest number of students go to the big school division. And then the teams. So then you have what's called 6A Division 1 and 6A Division 2. So you end up with 2 state champions for 6A.
Oh,
it's just 2 division. Yeah, 2 different divisions. Same with 5A. I think 4A is the same way, but then after that, it's just one.
Do you think that the size of the school matters?
Well, I mean, the more students you have.
Relatively?
I mean, not really, because you have teams that really suck that have really big schools. But when you have a team when you have 8,000 students in a school, you have a lot higher chance of having more, better athletes
talent,
and things like that. More talent.
Okay.
So, I mean, a kid that might be 3rd string at Allen High School, 3rd string quarterback would probably start at other schools. You know what I mean?
Got it. Yeah, that makes sense.
So anyways, so Holly, I don't know if you've seen this. So that's been me. That's like, I'm super busy. I got a lot more that's going on. We've got volleyball. We got all sorts of things, but
I got to say one thing. I got to interrupt for 2 seconds and apologize to Mark for the sports talk, because Mark loves our show, but he hates the sports talk and he always does that.
Well, too bad. You have a referee,
sorry, Mark, but keep listening.
You have a referee, coach, and sports fans listening. They're talking.
Mm-hmm.
So, Holly, have you seen this?
What? I have not. I don't know how I feel. You know what? I'm a purist. I don't like it already.
Dr. Pepper Blackberry.
The only one that I've really loved is the coconut one, and I've only had it that one time when you got it for me. I've never even bought it again, and it was delicious. But I also don't drink Coke like you do. I mean, you drink the hell out of it. So
I don't really much anymore, but I don't drink a lot of soda. I've been trying to, keep that cut back. But you know what I do drink? My little concoction from the very first show we ever did, and I was drinking it out of a glass.
Yeah, and water and lemon.
Water, lemon juice, apple cider vinegar, and cinnamon. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's evolved. It's evolved. I have quite the cocktail.
Let's hear it. What's
every morning. So it's a water, and it's all things like it's all things that I've like somebody said, oh, this is good for whatever. It's all stuff that's good for you. Right. It's not like garbage. So, but I'm like, why drink it all separate? Just throw it all into my one cup, right? So, so right now I've got water, lemon juice, apple cider vinegar, and cinnamon. That's still there.
Okay.
But then I've added cayenne pepper, give it a little kick, right? And it's good for something. And then
it's your heart pumping.
Whatever. And then I use Celtic sea salt. Okay. Put a little bit in there because what that does is there's a lot of minerals that sea salt has that you don't get from other places. Also, salt helps your veins and things like that.
Right.
And what else? I put ginger. Put a little bit of ginger in there. Just a little spritz of ginger.
Does it taste good, or is this like just chug it in one drink and don't taste it?
I use my big yellow cup. I use my big yellow cup and I drink it. So then I started throwing in honey, right? So I do some local honey and throw that in there. And then we have like our amino drink that we have like before we go to the gym. I 2 scoops of that because I'm using it before I go to the gym.
Right? Awful.
And then what else do I throw in there? Some magnesium. So I purchased magnesium for like a recipe for little side project I have going, and to create some, lip balms, deodorant, things like that. Mm-hmm. So I bought the magnesium, but I bought the wrong one. I bought the like food one that you eat instead of like a different type. Well, then I'm reading on it. It's like, well, magnesium's good for blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, well, shoot, I have it. So I just put a little bit in there. But I made the mistake, though, the first time I did it. It was like, take 5 tablespoons of magnesium. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I put 5 tablespoons of magnesium. Well,
wow, that's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Or teaspoons. Maybe it was teaspoons. Whatever it was 5. was like the recommended usage. Now, granted, it was like, I could tell it was like a Chinese translation. Okay.
Oh no.
Yeah. And so not Metamucil, but like milk of magnesia is magnesium.
Right.
I'll tell you what, man.
You went to the bathroom that day?
That cleaned me out. I had nothing
Hysterical.
left. Nothing. And I'm like, dang. I was like, dude, so I just take a little bit. Just put a little bit in
Yeah.
there. But
I take that in a vitamin form. I take that like
Well, I had been.
calcium at night.
I had been. So I took it in. So now I take it like how much would be in like a little veggie capsule, right? That's how much I put in. And I think that's it. I got cinnamon, cayenne, ginger. Yeah. So then I just stir it all up. I just drink it. It's pretty good. I don't mind it. I've been drinking. So anyways, I go
terrible. I'm not gonna lie.
So I go. My kids won't try it. So I go in to the doctor because I go see I go to the low T doctor, right? Testosterone doctor. So she takes my blood pressure and she's like, "Oh man, your blood pressure is like whatever over whatever."
Like good or
the normal, like 120 over 80.
120
I think
over
is
80 is the normal.
She's like, "Oh, your blood pressure is like 118 over 76 or whatever." And I'm like, "What? Are you sure you did that right?" Because my blood pressure is always high.
Yeah.
I attribute it to like every morning I drink that drink. So trying to do that. So anyways, I saw this. I had to try it. So what am I drinking? I'm drinking Dr. Pepper Blackberry.
Interesting though that your blood pressure is always high because mine's always low. The only time it's higher than normal is when if I have a doctor appointment. Okay, what's your thought?
I mean, it tastes like Dr. Pepper Blackberry. Is what it would taste like.
Good?
I mean, I don't.
Like you like the strawberry one, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not their best like one. That.
I would put it in the same like category as strawberries and cream, but I like the strawberry one better. It's good. It's all right.
Yeah. By the way, Kuzak just hit me up and she said that the 10-4 episode is on Apple also.
There we go. There we go. Awesome.
But yeah, so blood pressure, back to that real fast. I think mom and dad both have high blood pressure, so obviously we're probably destined to have it. But I've never actually, mine's always like really good unless I go to the doctor and I've had my Adderall and my coffee. Because for whatever reason, in some people, caffeine, Adderall, those stimulants can raise the blood pressure. So anytime I go in somewhere, like I used to go to the dentist's office and they always did my blood pressure for whatever reason before in Utah. And they're like, "Oh, your blood pressure is really high." And I'm like, "Look, it's normally 120 over 80 or lower. It's because I did my Adderall and my coffee." And so they've never refused service because I have had to pull up though, like my chart on like my medical chart to show them like, hey, it's consistently, So whenever I go to the doctor, I try to remember not to do my Adderall or anything. I try to schedule it early because I'm like, otherwise they're like, "Oh, this is concerning." And I'm like, no, it's normally, low. So.
Yeah. Mine's always been high. Not always. It's just, I'm still really working on like gut health. You know what I mean? I feel like your gut health is the most important thing. And so I don't know, like I have been taking, like I haven't, I'm going back to the thyroid doctor, a different one. Not that I didn't like the other lady. She just left where she was at and I don't want to try to find her. So, I'm going to this place and this is like literally in my neighborhood. So I go there in March to kind of get my levels checked again. But I've been taking a bunch of supplements and things for thyroid. Like I started taking bovine thyroid, like beef thyroid. I take that.
My pill is a pork based.
Well, yours is like an actual like
thyroid
prescription. Mine's just.
Oh,
like
you don't take anything prescription. Got it. Okay.
Not right now.
Yeah.
But we'll see. But I've been seeing the testosterone doctor and he's got me shots and. So I shoot myself every Monday.
I don't think I could do that.
Sometimes, like it's weird. Like sometimes I go to stick it. I gotta stick it in my butt, right? So sometimes I go to stick it, and it like for whatever reason, like that spot hurts, and so I didn't even like stick it in. I was like, "Oh, that hurts." So I have to like find a different spot, and then boop. And then if you have to put it in really slow because it's like oil based, so you have to like. It says it takes 30 to 60 seconds to like push it in. Is how long? So you're like sitting there forever, like barely pushing, and then one time I put it in too fast and it was actually doesn't hurt too bad. But you gotta remember, like as a kid, I got allergy shots twice a week every week.
That's
you know what I mean? So shots are like whatever. They're like
shots don't bother me either. I used to do the birth control shot and that thing I mean, that thing was, I used to get it in my hip, and Elizabeth used to get it in her arm when we would go. And I'm like, one time the girl who usually did mine wasn't there. And the girl who was giving the shot wasn't qualified to do it in the hip yet. Like, she was still in training, but she could do it in the arm. So I was like, okay, cool. Yeah, let's just do it in the arm. And I'm like, holy, like that in the arm. I was like, girl, I don't know how you do this in the arm, like the hip. I could do it in the hip just fine, but in the arm, it was painful. Burns, it was painful. Yeah. And then I was sick one time. This was in Utah, and I always get like upper respiratory infections or whatever when I was in Utah, and they would normally want to prescribe like a Z-Pack, but I can't do that because I'm allergic to erythromycin, which is a cousin, so to speak, of zithromycin. So they would always have to do other things. And I can remember one time the doctor, I think it was for the upper respiratory, wanted to do a penicillin shot or give me like whatever. And I was like, can we just do this in like a shot form? Do I have to go on like a tablet, whatever? And he was like, yeah, we could. Most people don't want to do it though, because it's really painful. I was like, nah, I'm good. So he does it. I didn't even like flinch. And he's like, wow, like most people like move, make a noise, something. I was like, nah, I'm used to this. So I can do it there, but anything in my arm, nope.
We were talking,
I don't know why.
Val and I were talking the other day because someone getting a shot for something. And we took Jared in to like a urgent care because he has strep throat. And so we're like, oh, let's go in, let's get a shot, all that stuff. That old lady, man, I mean, this needle was probably like this long. And it was like, what it reminded me of, do you remember when we were kids and you're in school and you had the teacher would have the chalk, and she would, sometimes they had the metal like thing that they would put the chalk in and write with. Yeah. That's what it reminded me of, like this big old metal thing. Like she just put the needle in there, and then needle's like that long. And she literally takes the needle and she's going to put it in his like thigh. And we're sitting there and she just takes it and is just like, bam, just like, and he like he winced up, and we were still kind of like young parents, he was only like probably like 6 or 7. He's probably like 8. Yeah. And I'm like, dude, I wanted to like punch the lady in the face. I'm like, seriously?
Maybe her idea was like the faster you get it over with, the less it hurts, where you like rip the Band-Aid off versus slowly.
But the way she just jabbed it, and me and Val like are like, what just happened? And Jared's like holding back his tears, and he's like, trying not to cry, and like it was really weird. I'm like, that woman, something. Anyways, crazy. So, so Holly, you have a something new for us.
I do. I am a big nerd. We all know this with my fun fact of the day, but I'm also a big nerd for quotes. Like, I love quotes. I always love to find good quotes. I actually have the Google Keep Notes app on my phone, and whenever I find a good quote that I like, I actually plug it into that, and like, who wrote it, like who said it, and here's the quote, and then I refer back to it sometimes. So,
wow.
Shut up. Anyway.
Wow.
I'm a nerd. I know it. I decided that we've had enough fun facts, and now we're going to do a quote of the day. And today I actually have 2 quotes of the day because they kind of tie into each other. And I don't know why I chose this other than like life's good right now for me. Like, I'm just happy, content, living my best life.
Except when you got to go back to work.
Oh, I know. We'll have to talk about that. However, so today's quote's kind of centered around happiness, just the luck of the draw. These were 2 quotes that I have in my phone. And the first one is by gymnast Mary Lou Retton. And it says, optimism is a happiness magnet. If you stay positive, good things and good people will be drawn to you. And then
I believe that.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, I believe that. I mean, optimism, like nobody wants to be around negative Nancy, right? Like nobody, like Debbie Downer, like people are drawn to like goodness. You know what I mean? They're drawn to like good. And so
positivity, good. Yeah.
And so for me, like I try to put that off, like optimism. People are like, oh, this is like, there's been times in my life, don't get me wrong, where I'm like, the worst that could happen is probably going to happen. Right. I mean, building a business for so long, like every day, I just remember like every day having to wake up and think like, this could all go away tomorrow. Right.
Right.
And it was for a long time. Like this month is 17 years that since I quit my job and started a business. Crazy. 17 years. But probably for 10 to 12 of those years, every day I had to wake up and like put on the optimism because I'm like, this could go away. And now, short of everybody quitting on me, like, and even if that happened, like I would adapt and overcome.
Right.
But I think that, I couldn't stop it. Like I couldn't stop, like the work doesn't stop because I stop working. Like if I'm not at work, the work continues. People will, like, all of a sudden we get new clients that we don't even, I remember, meeting with a guy. He had one of the biggest process serving companies in Texas, and he had started like in 1978. And anyway, so I met with him to kind of, collaborate with him and do work with him. And he said, and this was when I had literally like 4 clients. And he said to me, he said, Scott, one day you're going to wake up and you'll be working and you won't even know who your clients are. Like they won't know you. You won't know them. You won't know their name, because I knew every one of my clients. I go see them twice a week. I'm at their office,
Right.
And there's literally people, that my office will, Heidi will say something like, oh, well, this is for so-and-so. I'm like, who's that? Like, what is that? But she knows who they are, and everybody else knows who they are. But for me, I'm removed from that. And every day I would wake up and tell myself like, it will work out, right? And there were times where it was hard. That the optimism was hard, but I just would hang around people, and this from what I've done in life. But I would hang around people who were optimistic, whether that was it didn't matter, like business wise. And that's probably what got me through it the most, was just my associations. And like, I would just try to stay around positive people and like, what's the worst that's going to happen? Right. Well, I guess the worst that's going to happen is we close our doors and I got to go get a job. Right.
Right. And that's kind of like me. Like I try to be very positive. I don't know. I was talking to, my man the other day, and we were talking about how I have this really kind of, and it ties into my new favorite subject at the moment, which is astrology, which it's so fun. I like love it. I'm not a big believer in it as far as like, it's all truth, but it's really fun to like look up not just like your star sign, but the birth chart and figure everything out and blah, blah, blah. And one of the things it says about me, like specifically with my placements for all the planets and blah, 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 is that I can see 2 sides. I can see both perspectives. And so I was talking to him the other day about it, and I was like I don't know why I have this ability, but it's like, it helps me reason a lot. Like if I'm angry, I, for whatever reason, can step back and look at it from the other person's point of view, or multiple points of view, but I can always take into consideration those points of view. And that really helps like shape my opinion or what I think about something. So I always try to do that. If there's a day where I wake up and I'm feeling kind of low or whatever, I try to take the other perspective of like, what if instead of staying this way, I'll give myself a few minutes to kind of feel this way, but I'm going to take the other perspective. I'm going to take the other side. So I do that a lot as far as anything like work wise, whatever. Like we're dealing with stuff right now at work that we'll talk about in a little bit, where it's like, okay, we're going to have to take the positive side of this and roll with it. So I'm a big believer in that. I'm definitely a believer in just try to maintain that positivity. And I know a lot of people who, and I'm not going to go so far as to say that this applies in all situations, but happiness is a choice. And I do believe that to a certain extent. I do believe that there's when you have a literal mental diagnosis of, depression or whatever, that's a little bit different. Yes, you want to choose to be happy, but that's brain chemical, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
So when it's being treated and whatever, you can wake up. I mean, you wake up and choose how your day's going to go, right? Like you wake up and you can get on the wrong side of the bed or get out on the right side of the bed. And that's like just kind of the way I look at it. It's
like when I believe a lot of it is choice. Obviously, some things are diagnosed differently, but our 49ers sucked this year, right? They terrible. Last game of the season, Jace is just crying, because he's only known the Niners since he started. Like they've been good, right?
He's only known they've been as good in the playoffs, whatever.
Super Bowl, they've been to the NFC Championship game. Like there's been success, and so for them to, what's funny though is that I think back to when we were that age, and that was kind of the same way we were. But I just told him, I'm like, dude, listen, man, like it is what it is. We can't change it. Like you can choose to be sad and let it ruin your life, or we can go play Minecraft. Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, ain't nothing we can do about it. They sucked, circumstance. But anyways,
And then let me do the follow-up quote is same thing that we were just talking about, basically. Happiness is an attitude. We either make ourselves miserable or happy and strong. The amount of work is the same. And that's by Francesca Riegler, who's an artist. So,
Well,
that's it.
no, I believe that too. I mean, it's attitude. It's attitude. Like,
It is.
there's times where you can flip a switch, where you can be like, you know what? I'm not gonna deal with this today. I'm just gonna be happy.
Right.
Like, there's times where not so much anymore, but kind of back starting the business and having the stressors of life and all that. Where I would come home and Val would actually say, like, before you come in the door, like, take a minute in the car, and change, make sure your attitude's right. And, because this is how the kids are going to remember you. And so,
Right.
That's one big thing for me too. Like, our house, we've got stairs. And so upstairs, all of a sudden we might hear a ruckus and then a kid crying. Right. And I used to just barrel upstairs and, like,
Take care of business.
start taking care of business and yelling and screaming and what's going on. And then one time, like, I was kind of stopped in my tracks. I'm walking up the stairs, like, and it was like, how do you want your kids to remember you?
Yeah.
And I was like, took a breath and was like, you know what? Like, even though the kid's crying, like, obviously I can tell he's not, like, hospital crying. So
Right.
let me go up there a little different. And so that's something I do. Like, I go up there a little different than I used to. I don't deal with that much anymore, but just because the kids are older. But that's always my thought. Like, how do you want the kids to remember you? And so I'm
Right.
like, all right, well, that's my choice.
No,
Right.
that's a good way to do it. I always think of it though too, like we've talked a lot about like manifesting and karma and things like that. And so to me, it's you get back what you put out. So if I want to put out a negative attitude, that's what I'm going to attract. So I don't want negative things. I don't want bad things. So I try to always choose the good and the positive. And I always want to look for the silver lining. Sometimes it's really hard to find. I'm not going to lie. Sometimes I have to rely on like Scaren. Scaren's really good about finding the silver lining in everything. So if I'm feeling a certain way, I can message her, and sure enough, she'll reply with like, not necessarily saying like, here's your silver lining, but the way she replies, it puts it in perspective for me. Like, okay, and that's my silver lining. So yeah. Anyway.
Good little quotes of the day. Like that.
Yeah.
That's good. So, so a little update, Holly, while you kind of get ready for the things you're going to talk about, because the rest of the show is kind of yours and what you got going on. But you notice my hat here.
Block Sport Volleyball. So is that the name of the?
That's our club. That's our club.
Okay.
So we had the team. We kind of put a team together, and we just didn't have a home, right? We didn't have a spot, and I didn't want to create my own club because you got to be a part of a club to participate in club sports. So.
Okay.
Found a club, Block Sport, and they said, hey, yeah, we'll take your team, and you can do whatever you want. So they gave me kind of creative control over the team, and so that's where we're playing. So we're decent. So we're a 14s team, meaning our girls are 14, fit in the 14 range, except we have two girls that are 15. They fit in the 15 category. And so once you're in the 15, you can't play in the 14 anymore.
Okay.
And so we decided we didn't want to lose those two girls, so we moved up. So we play in the 15s division.
I mean, you did that though before. You played up when you were
yeah, we played up in
rec league. And do you think that helped them by playing up?
I probably did. Like, I don't think that they're not scared or anything to play up. But the problem we've had the first couple of tournaments is the 15s and the 16s are combined. And so
so you're
not only are we up one, we're up two. And we've held our own. So our first tournament we went to, you do like pool play. So you play like three other teams to determine where in the bracket you go.
Okay.
And so the first tournament, we had two 16 teams and a 15s team. And the two 16 teams beat us by a combined, like, I don't know, 6 or 7 points, right?
Oh, that's not
Meaning, they didn't beat us very bad. Then the other team we smoked. They weren't very good. So we end up in the silver bracket. So you have gold bracket, silver bracket, and then sometimes they have a bronze bracket.
Okay.
So we end up in the silver bracket and win the silver bracket. So
Nice.
we were not too bad. So then this last tournament we were in, we end up first place in our pool. So we go to gold bracket.
Okay.
And we end up
like this didn't end well.
no. We end up with the bye. So we all go to lunch. Everything's at lunch. We have a break, and then we come back. Well, then two teams play, and then we play the winner of that game, and we just came out flat and unable to do anything. And we had a couple injuries and some lineup changes and things we had to do, and so we ended up I think third place in that tournament. And Well, I feel like we had a third tournament somewhere. Maybe we just had two, but anyways.
Where do these tournaments take place at? Like, where have you gone for these tournaments?
So we just stay local. We just stay local. So we're in, we had one in like Louisville, Carrollton area. And then this past one was in, I guess we've just had two. And then this last one was just here in Frisco. And then our next one's in McKinney tomorrow, actually, Saturday. So
how do you like club versus rec?
I mean, club's fun because I mean, it's like we're actually playing teams that know how to play. And so I'm not like, if we lose, like that's just because we got beat. You know what I mean? Whereas in rec, it's like we just hammered through everybody. And then every once in a while, you'd have a team that would come out and play, and our girls didn't play for whatever reason. But it was just like championship.
Right.
So this is good. This is good for us and good for our girls, and they have to play hard. And I've noticed one thing about our team is if they feel like, and I think this is what happened a lot too, the last one where we got beat in the playoffs or in the bracket, I think they look at teams and think, oh, we can beat them. And then they go out there kind of cocky, like, oh, we can beat these guys. And then they just get hammered. So at practice this week, I was like, hey, just so you know, like, just remember, like, we're playing up, like every team's going to be better than us. Their players are going to be bigger. Their players are going to be faster, stronger. They're going to have played longer than you guys. So just be prepared that we're going to probably go in there and get hammered, because I feel like when we come in with that attitude, they play up. So we had this team that we played in the pool play this last tournament, and they had a girl. She was probably 5'10". She was definitely 16. And she was taller than any of our girls and could jump higher than any of them, could hit harder than any of them. She wasn't a very good all around player, but she was very good on the front row. And she but the set had to be perfect. And so she would just hit the ball basically straight into the ground. But our girls played her well. And we ended up going out there and playing her and that team. In the first set, we won 25-12. Like we went out there and dominated because they knew they had to play like they'd never played before in order to beat this team. So we play them three times because the way the pool play works, we play them three games in a row. And so we won the first one 25-12. We won the second one. And then the third one, they beat us because that's when we ended up with somebody, one of our players had gotten injured. I think she had hurt her ankle. And so we had to like redo our whole rotation. So anyways, and then I sat another girl. I think I can't remember. Yeah. Then I sat another girl because her back was kind of hurting. And so I was like, well, you're going to sit. So we ended up with only like 7 players and they beat us that third set. But anyways, like when they have to play because they know they're not going to win if they don't, they are, they really rise up. So that's my hope, is that they don't go in there overconfident.
You just got to tell them every time that this team's probably going to beat you guys. And let's not cry. Let's not be upset when they do. Because then they don't want to cry and be upset. So, no, that makes sense. So that never did work, though. That never worked when I played soccer. We were just terrible. It didn't matter what the coach said. It was so bad. We were so bad. It was terrible. Yeah.
So we're good. We have fun. We enjoy it. We usually live stream it. So I'll have to send you the link so you can watch it on live stream.
For sure.
It's fun, though. It's fun to watch.
Interested to see.
Yeah, it's fun to watch them play, and we put a good little team together. We have a couple weak spots, but for the most part, I think that we're, overall pretty good team. So,
and I think it's good to be on club too. Yeah, I think it's good to be on club because it's just a different mentality, I guess. And I know that you said like your fees weren't like crazy, but a lot of those club ones are crazy fees.
Oh yeah, like we, $5,000-$6,000. We have girls on our team. They're twins. And last year for club, like all the club expenses, because they have to pay for the club and then they have lessons and then they have, they traveled. So they would travel to like Pennsylvania, Kansas City, Utah. They would travel all over.
Costs come out of the parents' pocket, right?
Yeah. She said they spent $30,000 last year.
No way.
For club stuff.
No way. Those girls better make it through college and be the Olympics.
Over $6,000 each. To just be part of the team. Yeah. And then everything
that's like
else.
That's like the guy I'm seeing. He's got 2 kids and they do club sports. One does club soccer and one does club baseball. And he was telling me about the fees, and it's like.
So we try to keep them as low as possible. So like I made all our jerseys and, so it was basically the cost,
cost.
Yeah. I just am like, I don't want to pay all that. And so I want to provide it for Ava. She's, does really well. And so we'll see. We'll see. So next year we've got high school volleyball coming up, and we got a new high school coming in right in my neighborhood, and I've got
Right.
Lexi staying at the one high school she's at now.
Oh, you've agreed. You've agreed.
She's going to drive herself. She's got to drive herself. She's going to be driving by that time.
That was I remember when I was there at Christmas, that was a big debate between.
Well, initially they said no sophomores, only juniors becoming seniors can stay.
Right.
Well, then they opened it up. They said, well,
yeah, right.
it's a person by person.
I thought that was a little weird. Well, and I thought it was a little weird because I remember in Killeen when they did that and they did the new high schools, they let all of the sophomore and juniors choose if they wanted to go because they're going to be junior and senior. And so it was kind of like, well, you've already gone 2 years with these people. So when they were like, no, only senior, Jared was telling me only senior, or, those who were going to be seniors got to choose. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. Because normally, from what I've seen, it's typically the top two.
So it was freshmen. And it was like you had to submit a request and then they had to approve it.
Oh, so they opened it for everybody. Anybody could.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Not Ava, because she was, she's only in 8th grade, but anyone who's there. But
that'll be interesting when those two schools play each other.
Oh, they won't ever play each other. Not while they're together. No. Our school's going to be this one over here is going to be too small.
Oh, okay. Because I was going to say, one of you have to wear Ava's team and the other will have to wear Lexi's team.
Yeah. I'm a Richland Raider. I'm a Richland Raider through and through. No more Prosper Eagles.
Uh-oh.
Nah, I'll have to just because of Lexi, but
better hope Ava doesn't join the band.
She ain't joining the band.
Oh, I know. That's why I said it.
She ain't joining the band. But I do like watching Lexi play in the band. She's good. But so last night, Holly, I had gone to bed. Val came into bed, and I turned over. I looked at my phone as I was closing out for the night, and I was like, freaking A. And I don't even know what it was. I can't even remember what it was. Something was on my phone. I was like, freaking A. And Val goes, what does freaking A even mean? And I just laughed. I'm like, I have no idea.
We have said that for so long.
What does freaking A even mean? Because then I'm like thinking of the bad words, and I'm like, that doesn't even really make sense. You know what I mean?
Right. I'm looking. I just Googled what does freaking A mean?
What does freaking A mean?
So it's on Quora. Because a lot of people say the A stands for awesome.
Okay. That's freaking A, dude. But I always use it in like a negative, not like. I guess maybe I use it both ways. Freaking A. Yeah, awesome. Okay.
Yeah. That's what
we just laughed. We just laughed and like I have no idea. I just say it, freaking A. And it's usually followed with a dude. Yeah. Freaking A, dude. Like today, right. I walked out.
Very sure.
I made breakfast for myself, right? After the gym, I made eggs and I had bought some steak over at the store, cooked it up, had it all on my plate, started to eat some. I get a phone call. So I walk outside to work on the phone call, talk on the phone, whatever. And I come back in. Val had left because she was going somewhere. So she left while I was on the phone. I walk back inside. And my food is all gone. And I was like, and Lulu's like, and I was like, freaking A, dude. Like, what the heck, man? Like, what the heck? Why you she done climbed up on our freaking dining room table and ate my steak and eggs. And then I'm like, okay, well, at least I had a little bit of steak left. I didn't put it all there. Well, Val had eaten all the rest of the other one. And I'm like, son of a gun. Anyways, freaking A.
Freaking A.
It's freaking awesome,
I guess
bro.
That's what it is. Freaking awesome. I guess that's what it means.
Freaking A.
And it had a whole bunch of other stuff on there, but that seemed to be the consensus.
So if you're listening, go onto our socials and let us know what freaking A means to you. Freaking A, dude.
Did you say it either? Yeah.
I don't even know. I was like, I don't even know what it means. But anyways. What's going on with you, Holly? What's on with your life? All sorts of things going on.
I don't know that I have a whole lot going on. I'm working on my name change. That's been an experience.
All right.
In itself.
A poll. What should Holly name herself? I say Holly Honolulu. You should change your name to Holly Honolulu.
I know. I could. I mean, you can literally put whatever name you want on there, that as long as it's accepted. But
I mean, Chad Ochocinco. He changed his name to Ochocinco.
There you go. I'm just trying to go back to my maiden name because I still have my social security card from when I had it signed. So then I feel like I don't have to go sit and wait in the social security office once I get it all through and they say, okay, it's done. Then I can, but I don't know if there's a process to do it. So I probably would. But so here's what I learned. Oh, go ahead.
No, go for it. I was going to say you should do Holly Hawks.
I could. The
Holly Hawks.
So I am researching, and I'm a little upset because here's my way of thinking, right? So get divorced, and apparently when you get divorced, you have to say in the actual divorce document, the language has to be in there that your name will be restored to your maiden name. If that phrase is not in there, you have to go through the let's pay to change your name back. But in my mind, I'm like, this doesn't even make sense. Shouldn't the divorce decree enough show that we are no longer together and that is a given? Because it's like, there's no expiration on it. You could take that divorce decree in 30 years later and change your name back.
So could you scan the PDF and then add that in? Like, edit the PDF?
I guess I could, but here's the problem.
Then you go to jail for fraud.
But the problem is when you submit all of this paperwork, you have to submit certified copies, which means raised seal, blah, blah, blah. So you have to put in this paperwork. So I'm like looking through, okay, how do you do this in the state of Hawaii? So it's like you have to get all of this paperwork. You have to turn it in to, whoever it is. I think Lieutenant Governor. You submit all this paperwork. They go through, review it. They sign off on it. Your name's changed. It's expensive.
Right.
It's not super expensive to like apply for it, but all the things you have to get, right? So it's like you have to have a certified copy of your birth certificate. Well, I have that, so I'm looking at it, but it says you have to have a certified copy of your birth certificate. It has to be dated within the last 30 days. So I'm like, oh, great. So I order a new one from the state of Alabama. Cost me $100 to get it between ordering it and shipping it. And I think it's probably soon coming up on the 30 days. So I've got to get going on that. But
because your birth certificate expires?
I don't know. So I'm like, okay, it's got the seal, whatever. Well, then the other problem is, and I hate like the whole divorces thing. Like I hate even talking about it.
Right.
Because I have been divorced a few times and you have to include in there, like, have you had another name? What have you ever gone by? So then you have to include like if you put in there like, yes, marriage, whatever, you have to put the divorce in. So I had to put it in for Bill Miller. I had to put it in for Leslie, and I had to put it in for Aaron. And then they want certified copies of your marriage license and your divorce decree. So I'm like, great. So I message Brett. He has Rachel, our niece, who works at the law office. She orders, speaking of, I haven't done that yet. I got to ask her about that. She puts in an order for the divorce decree and my marriage license. She's
which our office will probably pick up and bring
and
to
she's
them.
like, and I got to message her too after this because she's like, okay, I sent this directly to you. I'll put in, when I put it in to have them send your divorce decree, I put your address on so they'd send it directly to you. So I'm like, all right. The problem is Leslie and I separated, I don't know, 2012. Well, I didn't actually file till 2017 because it was kind of like no reason. And because when I was finally filed, I lived in Utah. We filed my divorce there in Utah. And then, of course, Aaron and I were in Utah. Well, Utah is impossible to get a copy of your divorce decree. You can't, there's nowhere online to order it. It's like you have to call or email. I have called the courts. I have left messages. I have emailed. So that's been the holdup is I cannot figure out how to get this to the point that I'm either going to have to like get my sister, my nephew, somebody to go into the court and get this paperwork for me, like put in the request, talk to somebody. I even had Rachel look like, maybe I'm looking in somewhere wrong and you're familiar with like court websites or whatever. She's like, no, you're absolutely right. Like there is literally nowhere to place an order for this. It says call or email. Right. So I am just losing my mind. So my thought is, well, maybe if I submit like my birth certificate, which is, certified, and I submit the first one for Bill, which is certified, maybe if I just submit copies of these other ones, they'll see like, okay, she's got basically everything and hopefully they'll grant my name change. Because I'm like, I can't figure this out. I have called, I've spent almost $400 already on name change paperwork where if my asshole ex-husband would have just put in there, my name would be restored. I could have just taken it down and shown and been like, ta-da, and done it. So, but I just don't understand. Why does the language have to be in there when you've gotten a divorce? It's clear you're no longer together. So why is that not enough? And it specifically says, like, if this language is not in your divorce decree, you have to pay to have it done. So I'm annoyed with that. It's been a process.
So they have to make sure, like, you're not running from something. That's
right.
That's
I mean, I get
issue.
that.
Like, I've got debts and I've,
But you're also signing, like, you have to go in and do like a notary signature where you are attesting that you are not doing that.
Right.
Like, you attest to it, the notary signs, you submit all this paperwork. Not only that, you sign another thing on the document that says, I attest to this under the, penalty of perjury, blah, blah, blah. So it's just kind of annoying that it's like, you already screwed me over in our whole marriage and that whole situation, and you're screwing me over again. And it just makes me so mad.
I just can't win, huh?
No. So I'm going through this whole thing, and part of me is like, is this even worth it? But it's like, it is, because it's like, I don't want to be associated with that last name anymore. So I already have started going by, Pritchard again.
Right.
All my mail for the most part comes to that. Anything legal, obviously, it does have to have, so all my work email, because it's government and legal, it does have Booker on it. But my signature blocks, I'll say Holly Pritchard, and then I have Booker in parentheses. My work email with my new company, my email is holly.pritchard, because they're like, I told them I was changing my name and I wanted, I prefer to go by Pritchard. So it's just annoying. So that's taken up a lot of my time trying to get all that together. But I'm kind of at a loss about what to do with, the Utah ones. And I do have to go back out there. I'm probably going to go back out there in April or May, but I'm trying to get this done before. I just don't know how long it takes. So I'm trying to that's my other thing. It's like, do I wait now?
Well, you got to wait because you have 30 days of your birth certificate that expires apparently every 30 days.
Yeah. I got to see when I even got it last. But it's just annoying because it's like, because this isn't me anymore because the seal or whatever, it's 30 days more or whatever. So it's just kind of annoying. It's
like driver's licenses. Like, oh, your driver's license is expired. I'm like, I understand it's expired, but that's still me. It's still my picture. Like, I got that the actual thing expired.
Right.
But you can tell that that's me. Like, I have, it's crazy. Like, if this credit card expired, like, we need 2 forms of ID. Okay, here's one. Well, that's expired.
Right.
You're right.
But
it's not me.
At some point, it's
not
valid.
me anymore. You're correct.
Right. So yeah, it's just this whole pain, and it's like, now it's coming into, it's the first week of February. By the time all of this gets situated and handled, it's probably going to be towards the end of February. Then I'm supposed to be traveling at the end of April. And it's like, so now do I wait until the end of April because it's going to take time for it to go through everything? And then it's also, though, like, if they grant my name change, legally that's my name. But if I still have all of my stuff, still in my current legal last name without changing it yet, that might be something I might consider doing. But it's like, I don't want to lose my pre-TSA or pre-check through TSA, and I don't want to lose this or whatever. So it's just, it's a pain. So my point is this, that if anybody's ever getting divorced, make sure as a woman, you check your decree to ensure that that language is in there. If you ever think that you may go back to your name, because if it's not in there, you have to pay as though you are changing your name. And it's like reason for the name change. And I'm like, going back to my maiden name, like, it's so dumb that I had to pay that. And almost $400 so far. And that doesn't include any of the Utah documentation that I know I'm going to have to probably get, that I'm sure they're going to come back and send back my paperwork and say these aren't certified copies. So it's like, great. I'll have to figure that out. But so that's been the thing I've been working on. And it's just a pain.
Well, could be worse, right? I
could still be married. Could be worse. Fair point. So
you could still be married. That is correct.
Married to him. So yeah. So that's been like that's been my focus for a minute, trying to get that handled. And I just texted, as I was talking about it, I just texted Rachel and I'm like, hey, so I haven't gotten the divorce decree or the marriage license. And she says, it looks like the clerk mailed the decree on 1:30. And she's like, and you haven't gotten the marriage license? Because it was in my desk. And then she sends a picture of her holding it. And I was like, okay, no big. She's like, I'm sending it right now. So I'm like, all right. So anyway, so there's that. And then what else? So the guy I'm seeing.
Yeah. So we left off 10-4. So here's where we left off. And if this is too much info, you can say, hey, start this over. But if not, we'll keep going.
Okay.
I'm literally editing our show from 10-4. And I'm editing it. And you said, edit out the part about
The man.
my man. Edit that whole part out. And I'm like, what? And you gave me reasons. You told me why. And now here we are, February.
Right.
And
Here we are.
you guys are still together.
Yeah. So when that happened and I said, edit it out. So I'll tell the story. This is the first guy that I've seen since I've been divorced, right? I've gone out on dates, but nothing stuck. Like it wasn't, I hadn't met anybody. So I meet this guy. We match on a dating app, and I kind of figured it would be like that again. Like we'd meet, it'd be like a one-time date, and that would be it. But it wasn't. And I just, liked him a lot, and he liked me. So we're like kind of hanging out. Well, I'd done a lot of work on myself, therapy-wise, EMDR, regular, blah, 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 to kind of get over a lot of the stuff that happened in my divorce. And what I didn't realize was that I was still going to have a lot of relationship anxiety based on the stuff I went through in my divorce. Not necessarily specific instances, but because of what happened, it kind of shapes, relationships. And so I might have been a little bit of a crazy person. I won't say crazy person, but I had a lot of anxieties where I just knew like he was going to do the same thing to me that my ex-husband did. And it just was like an overwhelming, anxious feeling that this was like going to happen. And it was something that I could not work through my anxieties on that. And so we had a conversation right around the time that we had filmed. And he basically was like, he didn't say it was because of the anxiety, but it was very clear it was because of the anxiety. He put it back on himself. Right. But then, I happened to be talking to somebody, I can't remember. And they were like, that because I had said something like, it doesn't matter because he was just going to do to me, what my ex did. And they were like, but why do you think that? Or I said, he'd probably end up cheating on me anyway. And they were like, why do you think that? And I was like, well, because that's what happened before. And they're like, so you're blaming him essentially for all of the things your ex did to you. And I was like,
reminds me of Minority Report.
Yeah, like apparently I am. So I've never seen that movie, but I ended up basically having to a pre-crime.
Yeah. So basically
they're getting in trouble.
Yeah. So what's his name? Tom Cruise. Basically it's like a pre-crime. They're arrested for things that they haven't done yet, but they were going to do. So in order to keep the person from dying because they were shot, they have this AI technology. This is what we call it now. I don't know that we called it AI technology then, but basically, it shoots out a little thing and it says, Scott's going to murder this person. So to keep the person from being murdered, they go arrest Scott and say, hey, this is a pre-crime.
Oh, okay. Got it. So that was essentially, yeah. So then I kind of was like, well, I'm going to have to lay it out there for him and let him know what's happening. And so this is a funny thing kind of, because this is where astrology kicks in a little bit. Okay. Because, I'm like never been big into it, but my friend down here is, kind of into it a little bit. And so she kind of got me into it. It's just fun. Like when I'm laying on the beach, it's a fun thing to do. I just read up on stuff.
Look at the stars.
So, yeah. He's a Scorpio, which I've never dated a Scorpio. They're notoriously hard to date. I will say that much. Not in a bad way, just very guarded and, whatever. And he's the epitome of that. And one of the things that I had read up was like, they like vulnerability and like share something vulnerable, blah. So I was like, okay, I hadn't told him about my ex-husband. So I was like, I'm going to have to just be vulnerable and lay it out there. So I wrote a very long explanation text, basically like, hey, I understand that this is done, but I wanted to provide some context for the situation and kind of laid it out. And I didn't hear from him for about a week. And then he texted and, slowly things got back to normal. And I was able, for the most part, to kind of quell that anxiety. Once I realized that's what I was doing, then it was very much easy for me to be like, whoa, like this dude's not my ex-husband, so I'm not going to put that on him.
Right.
So things have been great. We've been, seeing each other. We started talking at the beginning of August. Finally met like
It was like right before.
Yeah, I think it was like right in September. We hadn't been together very long when you and I filmed. So it was over Labor Day weekend. We had met. So since then, talking since August, met in September. And it's just kind of slow going, which I like. He's got 2 kids that he is primary parent, essentially. He has 3 kids, but one's older. And then so he's got like a 12-year-old and a 16-year-old. And so they take up a lot of his time. He kind of reminds me of you as a dad, like how you're very involved. He's very much that way, like very involved. So
kids take up a lot of time.
Yeah. And we don't, and
the older they are too. Oh my God.
Right. And that's sometimes hard for me. Not hard as in, it's more disappointing sometimes. Like I want to do something, but he's doing something. Like weekends, we rarely hang out, which is kind of hard because
especially if he's playing club sports.
Correct. His kids are in club sports. So
and in Hawaii, there's no seasons. Probably it's like, well, we play baseball all year round. We play soccer all year round. Like
they do. So they go from like, okay, now we're in school. Like she plays soccer for the team at school, but now school season's over. So now she's in club season for the rest of the year. Then his son is, does baseball and year round is in baseball. So, and when his son isn't practicing with the team, he's out there practicing with his son at night. You know what I mean? And then homework and all these things. So, and that's every weekend. And it's been a little bit different since January because he also had shoulder surgery. So he's been off since the beginning of January. So we've seen each other a little bit more. He goes back to work in March, and that's probably going to be hard because it'll, a lot of times we hang out like during the day when his kids are at school because whatever. But once he's back to work, that's not going to be able to do, but we're not gonna be able to do that as much. But I mean, I like him a lot. And it's kind of, I don't know that it's serious, but it's not serious. We're exclusive. We're not seeing anybody else, but
I mean, it sounds like,
nobody said I love you or anything yet.
It'd be more on the serious side than the non-serious side. If you're like,
I mean, it is, but it's not, I guess. I don't know. Like I haven't met his kids and I don't know. And I think that's a big draw. That's a thing for me. I
haven't seen a picture. Like you've yet to send me a picture. Not that it matters because you text me and I wouldn't respond anyways, but.
Truth. I think I've sent him to Val maybe, but like the whole thing is, and like my friends are like, well, you haven't met his kids yet. Like, isn't that like something? I'm like, I don't know that I want to.
I don't like kids.
It's not that. It's just, it's like.
Once you meet the kids, man, you're in. Like you guys, it's a whole different level.
That's it. It takes it to a new level that I don't know that I'm prepared for or that I want yet. Like, I don't know. Because it's like, I've had that with Leslie. I had that.
Like once you meet the kids, like you might as well move to the suburbs right now. Just find a suburb and go live there. Are there suburbs in Hawaii? I don't even know.
I mean, I feel like I'm in a suburb. I think everything on Oahu is a suburb of Honolulu. So
but you have to buy your own house and you got to like get your own little cute little, like you met the kids, you got to buy a house.
I'm not leaving this place, man. I'm keeping my spot here, but it's different than any relationship I've been in before. Cause I've always been, and this is kind of what I told him. Like I've been the type of person that when I meet somebody, there's either a spark or there's not. And if there's no spark, it's never going to happen. I'm not somebody who like attraction builds. And I know plenty of people who are like that. That's not me. Like if there's no spark from the beginning, it's never going to happen. And I also know like I feel like I'm a pretty good judge of character, so I kind of just talking to him from the start, had a good feeling about him, and the thing that I really liked is he's very like protective of his kids. So I didn't even learn like his kids' names for months. He would just say my boy, my daughter, or my middle, if he was talking about his oldest daughter, my oldest daughter, my middle daughter. And I've only just very recently seen a picture of his 16-year-old. I've seen a picture of his son before, but he was I really liked that because like with my ex-husband, for example, I mean, it was very much not like that. He said from the start, like, I'm not looking for somebody to come in and be a mom, but that's very much what he was looking for.
That's what he wanted. Yeah.
Right. So it was like 2
or
weeks
he didn't know that's what he wanted, but the expectation was you're going to be the mom, but without like, why aren't you doing that? Why aren't you mothering the children? So then when you do, it's like, well, why are you mothering you know what I mean? Like,
right. And so it was like 2 weeks into us like hanging out, literally 2 weeks in. Riley was graduating from high school. So we had like a graduation party at the apartment complex we lived in. And I invited him to kind of like, we've been hanging out for 2 weeks. And I'm also the type that is like, I need somebody, if I'm going to be hanging out with somebody, they have to like my family has to like them or my friends. Like
Right.
if they don't, it's not going to work out. And so I invited him and he shows up there with his 2 6-year-olds and they were very much attached to me from that moment. And I felt like I didn't have a choice. And that's the thing I didn't like, even though at the time I didn't, in the moment, in the heat of things, I probably didn't recognize that what it was. That's what it was. I mean, it bothered me, but it was also like, okay, well, this guy's serious about it. But now looking back on it, I'm like 2 weeks in and you're introducing him to the kids to this woman you've been seeing for 2 weeks. Like, that's red flag. That's red flaggy big time, right? In my mind now.
Maybe. I mean, I didn't know him all that well. I just know, I met him a couple times, but at the same time, like I would think, as a single dad, maybe it's different for like a mom. I don't know, but like, if this person's going to be important to me, they got to be important. Like my kids are an important part of my life.
But you don't know if you're important 2 weeks in. It's like we hung out a few times.
I don't know. I know, but for I think your guy right now, I think your man right now, kids are older,
right?
Like they can kind of take care of themselves. Like my kids, like even my 10-year-old takes care of himself. Like Jace,
right,
can take it. Like it's funny when people come and they're like they visit and they're like, oh, but you're gonna leave Jace by himself. I'm like, dude's 10, right? Like he just plays.
When we stayed home at 10, all we did was we just called grandma and got, Grandma, we're scared.
There's aliens.
Unsolved Mysteries music playing in the background.
There's aliens that are gonna come get us, Grandma. No, Jace just, he loves to stay home by himself because he's like, because I'm like, dude,
I can do what I want.
You can play on the Xbox. And he's like, done, right?
Yeah.
But so I think it's a little different when the kids are older, but when they're young like that, and obviously what you're saying is he was looking for somebody he was looking for a mother figure, I think, for the kids, which is understandable with the situation he was in. But at the same time, like I get your side of things, which is like, man, this is like 2 weeks, but I've never been in that game. You know what I mean? I've never been like, there. So I don't know. To me though, like if that were to have happened to me, I would think like, I like this girl. She likes me, or this woman. She likes me. Like it seems like we're having a good time. I'd rather it get over with now. If I bring my kids and she's like, absolutely not, I'm out. Then I would rather be like, then I'm done. You know what I mean?
But I think the thing is,
then instead of like, hey, we're 8, 9, 10 months into this thing and finally meet the kids, and then there's no connection with the kids. You hate kids, and now I've gone 10 months and I've wasted. This time.
True, but I guess I also kind of look at it like they're not going to be kids forever. At some point, they're going to like grow up and leave. And I think
but that's years.
Correct. I think the reason I'm
You've been through a lot of stuff since you met those kids.
Right. And I think part of the reason I'm hesitant to even want to is I've been a 16-year-old girl before. And I'm not
like you. They're not all like you.
Well, no, I don't mean that. But like you're going into a situation where, okay, so your parents are already divorced now. And I live with dad full time. And now here comes this woman who is going to take away my attention from my father. And with the kid, I don't think the 12-year-old is going to be a big deal, but I have some hesitation because of that. But I also like that it's like, he's not pushed it. He's not even offered, which I'm okay with also. So I don't know. And everybody's like, have you guys like met each other's friends and stuff? And I'm like, no, because it's like, I don't know. It's slow. It's not like we see each other all the time either. So yes, this has been going on for 6 months. But up until beginning of January, we maybe saw each other once or twice a month because he works long hours. He's on call with his job several times during the week. He's got kids stuff going on. He's the only one there. So it's, like the ex is in the picture to a certain extent, but she's not as active in the kid's life as he is. So it's just, it's been this long, but it's also kind of slow going at first. And now we see each other, since the surgery once or twice a week. But it's not your typical, I would think, like where a lot of times people start dating and it's like they're inseparable. They never, whatever. And I think that also I wanted very much to not do that because I think that's what's got me into trouble with some of the people that I've been with, dated, married, whatever, which is you're there all the time. You get a false sense of life and reality. Like that's not the way it always is, basically. And so it's kind of nice. I don't know. I'm in no hurry, I guess. I'm just kind of enjoying
Yeah.
what it is. We don't have a title. We're not like I don't say my boyfriend or whatever. It's kind of like,
I mean, what's the difference between my boyfriend and my man?
right. I mean,
What's the difference?
I just say my man, but it's like he said, like, because one day we were having a conversation. I was like, wait, do your friends not know about me? He's like, I mean, this was months in, and he was like, he's like, listen. And I was like, oh, okay, here we go. He's like, I've lived here my whole life. The island is small when you've lived here your whole life. Like, everybody knows everybody. Everybody always wants to be in everybody's business. And he was like, I'm a very private person. I don't like people in my business like that. He's like, I don't have social media for that reason, like all of these things. And he was like, I hang out with, a group of people who, even though I consider them, close friends, I don't talk to them about things like that. He's like, I do have one person though. She's been my best friend since 7th grade. And she knows, like, she asked if I was seeing anybody, and she knows I'm seeing somebody in, a woman in Kailua. So I was like, okay, like, that's fair. But I don't know. It's like, I think he can be overly cautious where.
Is that an attribute of what is
Scorpio?
It? Scorpio.
Yes, that is an attribute. So he's very guarded. He takes a long time to trust somebody. Like, all of those like typical things that you read, I'm like, wow, he is like the epitome of a Scorpio, essentially. So anyway, it's been interesting, and I've enjoyed it, and we've had some discussions about, where is this going? And it's kind of like, he's always like concerned, like, I don't want to hurt you or whatever. And I'm like, hey, like, I don't want to plan. Like, I'm not planning for the future right now. Like, I am, but I'm not. Like, I'm trying to enjoy this for what it is. Like, I had my whole life planned out when I was with my ex-husband, and look how well that turned out. So for me, I'm just trying to be present and enjoy it. And as long as I'm enjoying it, I'll continue to do it. And if at some point, like down the road, if it's going to get serious and one of us isn't ready, then it's like, we'll deal with that then. Like, in the meantime, I just like him. He likes me. We're having a good time. And why can't that be enough?
Yeah. This goes back to our quote, right?
Yeah.
We make ourselves miserable or happy and strong. So
that's it. So yeah.
Well, that's good. Well, I'm glad it's all working out for you. Because I was
we'll
like,
see how it goes.
Dang. Because it was literally like one day later. You're like, hey, that whole thing, let's just take that out. Like,
right.
Too late. I'm not doing it.
But it was, and I like the fact that it's like I guess the other thing is like, I like the fact that he had read what I wrote and like considered it. You know what I mean? Like, okay, I could see why, he's very emotionally intelligent, which is also good because I've dated men who were not emotionally intelligent. So it's very nice that he understands things like that, and he's super smart. I mean, we just have the nerdiest conversations. You would die of boredom, and I just love it. And it's like, this is so great.
Nerds, man. Nerds. But I guess we have to talk about nerdy stuff because of our three listeners that one of them said he doesn't like to talk about sports. So
right. But
too bad. Speaking of that, pitchers and catchers, they report soon, don't they?
They do.
Just to have the Giants suck again.
I hope not. We got Buster Posey in now. They fired the coach.
Yeah, bring back Gabe.
I know. I wish they
bring
would.
back Bruce Bochy.
Bruce, or what's the other one? Dusty.
Oh, Dusty
retired too.
Dusty's Dusty.
I mean, he
is old.
He just took him though to the freaking.
Old. That guy's
took
old.
him there. But yeah, no, I get it.
Well, Holly, my Dr. Pepper's gone, and we've been talking for a while, so we should probably wrap it up. But I just want to say this: if I get another collection call for your ex-husband,
I'm two ex-husbands.
I'm gonna find him and punch him in the face, man. Like, not only that, it's like, I won't give his name. I'll just name him Jim.
Joseph.
They're like, do you know Jim? And I'm like, nope, don't know Jim. Bye. And then I'm getting collection calls for like process servers that worked for me. That I was like, they put me down for whatever reason as like a contact, and I'm like, I'm like, dude, like, you were a contractor for me. I don't even know you. You know what I mean? Like, I literally, like, maybe I met you, but like, it's like, do you know this person? And I'm like, nope, don't know them. Take my name off the list. Like,
I still get calls. I still get calls about Jim too. And I'm like, they're like, hi, are you, or they'll ask me, they ask it in a way where it's like, do you know him at all or whatever? And I'm like, please, I don't have any association with him. That's what I say. I don't have any association with him. Can you please remove my phone number and my name? I'm like, oh, okay. But I'm like, at some point, man, at some point, you have to pay your bills. Like, this
I get so many calls, man. So many calls. I'm
Years.
like, dude, I don't like. Come on, like I don't even know who this dude is. That's what I just say. I don't even know him. I don't know who he is, but
I still get them too. So
whatever.
annoying.
I
I
was-
wonder if anybody else in the family gets them. I know at one point Todd got it because Todd messaged me, and this was years after we'd been divorced too. Todd's like, "Yo, I just got a call about Jim," and I'm like, "I'm sorry." I don't, because it's like they just look for people who you might be associated with,
Yeah.
which I think Todd had met him one time.
Well,
and
we
I'm
run
like, how
those.
did they?
We run those reports. You know, I mean, we do to try to
Yeah.
find people, and it's like people they're related to, and it has a whole list. And then you just look for that guy, and then you find that guy's
Right.
phone number, and you're like, "Hey, do you know so and so?" And I'm
Right.
like, "Oh my god!" But see, I'm associated because I've employed or subcontracted them, and they've put me down as an employer.
Right.
That's why. I'm. Like,
Right.
they're like, I've literally had people like I had a workman's comp case. They're like, "Hey, does so and so are they still working for you?" I'm like, "Well, they're an independent contractor. They never were an employee."
Right,
And they're like, "Oh, we have them as an employee." I'm like, "No, they never were. Beat it."
right. Well, and Jim also worked for you, so you've got it.
Well, I know.
double,
That's what I'm
'cause
saying.
Married
That's
and
what I'm
worked. So yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully he'll pay his bills at some point, so we all stop getting calls. from
Knock
him.
on wood. I haven't had a call for him for a while, but
Did I tell you
Jeez.
though that when he went out to Heidi's house to fix her cable, and Heidi's like, "Oh my gosh, Jim is here fixing my cable." When he worked for the cable
yes.
company.
I remember something
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah,
Dad
that's funny.
used to call him all the time, be like, "Hey, come fix my cable."
I
Like something's
know.
not working. He'd come over and he'd fix it up and roll on.
He sure would. I mean, he was a good dude. Don't get me wrong.
Nice
Just
guy. Nice guy. But
Nice guy. I didn't have issues. It was just kind of like,
He's probably-
it wasn't like it
of
ended
the 12
badly or anything.
of the 12 he's
12?
married, I
He was
married,
the
I probably
he was
like him the best. Yeah.
Agreed.
But anyways.
Agreed.
Well, Holly, let's wrap it up for today. And you know, how do we usually close these things? I don't even remember. It's been so long.
Man, I think we just are like liking some. No, we use Joey for that. I don't know. I guess we just say, see you next time.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna keep
And
all
I'm
this in
always-
there. I'm gonna keep it
and I'm
all
always
on
like,
there.
aloha.
That's right.
So that's how we end it.
All right, Holly. Well,
Yeah.
we'll wrap it up for today. I've got a volleyball tournament tomorrow, so I gotta get my team prepped for that. As far as like,
All right.
not my team, but my lineup prepped. I gotta figure out how we're gonna do
Right,
that.
well-
I've had a call in already today. Hey, so and so's
Uh-oh.
got the flu. I'm like,
Uh-oh.
awesome.
Well,
So
good
gotta
luck.
figure that out. But
Hopefully
anyways,
all goes well.
all right, we'll see you next time. Take care.
All right. Aloha.
Hey, what's up, my channel? Please hit the drop a like and hit the subscribe button. Looking for my first subscriber. Can't subscribe myself. Can't do that for some reason. I don't know why. Wish you could.